Hey there, anybody ready to make some strawberry jam? I sure am. I didn't get a chance to go pick them like at Mazza's or any place, so these strawberries are a little bit harder and a little bit harder to mush because they're not fresh. They're ones that came from Hannaford's, but nonetheless they're strawberries and I can make jam and that's what counts. So here we go. It only takes a few minutes, so it's a very fast process. When you're making jam, the big thing is that there is way more to prep than there is actual time that it takes to cook the jam. You need to prep jars. You need to wash all of your jars. Even though I wash them after I use them and put them in the dishwasher or whatever, I still wash them again just before I use them and let them dry. And there's all the covers right here. So I use the little jam jars and the cute little covers. There's a lot of cutting and crushing to berries. So to actually make the jam maybe takes 5 minutes, but this whole cutting and crushing and washing and having everything prepped, because jam goes by so fast like that, and you have to have it timed. There's a boiling part just before it boils, and it boils for so long with certain ingredients in it. So everything has to be prepped ahead of time for jam. You can't say, okay, now the next process is I'll get this ready. So you need to have your stove ready. You need to, for certain things. In here, you will see I am turning on the burner right now. This is my double boiler. You can see the water's on the bottom. And this is where I'm going to start getting my wax already melted. So I'm going to put that up to high. That's one of the things I have to do right off. Another is you have to have your sugar already pre-measured. So there's my pre-measured sugar right there. Everything is beside the stove right here. Like, get ready to put this in, get ready for that, because everything happens so fast. So prep your whole thing ahead of time. So we'll start with this. We're going to start with crushing berries. You can see if you can get it down here on the bowl. And yes, you can. Let's see, right about there I think is good. Yep. So there's a couple of different ways to crush berries. The way I've been doing it for 20 some odd years is this. I would hull meaning take your stuff off the top and anything else that comes with it, hull it, and then cut it like this. And I've been doing it like this for years. And by the time I get to make the jam, my finger hurts, it's sore. By the time I get to my 5 cups, it takes a long time, but I for a long time, I never realized you could use any other system. So this is the way that I did it for years, and that way I was controlling how crushed it was. I'm a person who likes to have the pulpy pieces in my jam. I do not like to have it like jelly consistency with nothing in it. That really actually kind of grosses me out. That's the wrong texture. I like to have it filled with a little bit of something, so this is the way I've been doing it for years. Now, I'm going to move this one over here. I'm going to transfer it to this bowl because I don't want to do any more of this. But now I do it this way. There's 2 other ways to do it still. If you are the person who likes to have your jam with very little pulp in it or no pulp in it, use your blender or use your food processor. Put your berries in there on puree. It'll pretty much just pulp them right up, and you won't have any consistency. It'll be pretty thinned out. If you like it that way, then go right ahead, and it's quick. It takes seconds in the food processor and seconds in the blender. I like to have my bits and pieces like I just said, so therefore I don't do that. So I hull them like this, take the tops off, hull them, pull your thing out, and then I use a masher like this, and I just push down on them, and I'm still controlling. It's just I'm doing a whole bunch at the same time, so it's much more efficient than using that fork with just my one finger pushing everything. You have to knock it off the sides because it gets stuck in the holes, and just do it again. Keep going. You'll see when you've got the right amount. Another thing about berries is you have to have the exact amount of every ingredient. You can't say close enough for everything. You can't say, oh, I don't like sugar, so I'm only going to put a certain amount of sugar in. Nope, you have to do exactly what it says on the recipe. We need 5 cups of these berries. 5 cups of crushed berries. Just so that you know how much that equates to, I have not quite used 4 pounds of what I bought. So here we go. Let me sit down where I can see this. And I'm going to, can you see the cup? Oops, this way. Yep, so I'm going to fill it up until it gets to that, because I've already got 4 cups put in there, and this should be my 5th cup. It should be just about right. I'm hoping when I was putting the berries in there, I was kind of thinking, oh, this is about the right amount. Yep, it is. I can see it from here. This is perfect. So, that's the big thing to remember about berries is that you have to use exactly what the recipe says. So from there, I'm transferring it into my big pot where you can see I already have 4 cups in there. There's my 5th cup. Okay, so you know what I'm doing and where I am getting this recipe, because you have to have, the one thing about making jam, you have to have pectin. It doesn't work without pectin. I've never in my life used any pectin but Sure-Gel. It always, I've never had any failures. I can make any flavor I want. It's fantastic. Sure-Gel is the one thing I use. The other thing to know is that inside your Sure-Gel box, which you saw over by the stove, is every recipe you'll ever need. So I don't know if it's necessary for me to write this up beside the video, because you have to go through here and pick. I mean, there's everything from apricot to black raspberry, blueberry, peach, pear, plum. There's a triple berry in here that I make that I completely love. You have to go by this. And then there's also jellies. There's cooked jellies and jams. Then there's quick and easy freeze. So, excuse me, quick and easy freezer recipes. So, always do exactly what it says on here. So if we go down, I don't know if I can get it close enough to you. I probably can't. But if we go into here and we look, and we'll see, I don't think you can, the wind is blowing it from my thing. So I'll just tell you what it says. I was going to show you on the recipe what it said, but I guess that's not able to be done. I hate this, not being able to have Tim here so he can like zoom in and do all this stuff. Strawberry jam takes 8 cups of strawberries, but when it's done, your 8 cups of strawberries turn into 5 cups of strawberries that are crushed. So it says remove and discard the stems and crush the strawberries, which is what we just got done doing. The thing you need to set up ahead of time is you need to have all 5 of them in here, all 5 cups in here. You need to have 7 cups of sugar, not 6, not 6.5, not saying I'm a diabetic, I'm going to trim it down. None of the above. It has to be exactly as this recipe says. 7 cups of sugar is sitting over by the stove, and you'll see me when I put it in. So again, when you're doing strawberries, everything has to be prepped and ready. So I'm all set in my center over here. I call it my jam center because I've got it all set. That all I have to do now is cook it and do the stuff on the stove and come back here and portion it out into the jar. So the rest of the magic happens right at the stove. It takes a while to make jam, but doesn't take hours. You can actually make a, depending on how long it's taking you to crush your berries, you can make, you know, a half an hour and you have a good bunch of jam, a good batch of jam. Batches of jams, they say that this makes about 8 cups. Usually it ends out with closer to 9, and that's what these are, so we're good. I have 9 of them washed just in case, or 10. I have 10 washed just in case. So now we're going to go over the stove. I'm going to take you and the pot over. I'm going to put you this way. There we are. And I think I'm going to put you right on here where you can see down here, because you really got to pay attention to what's going on here, because this is going to get crazy in a minute. Alright, so there we are. We're going to make jam. So the jam is on the stove. The strawberries are on the stove, ready to roll. I'm going to put it on high. Over here what's going crazy is that our double boiler has the wax melting, so I'm going to turn it down. There we go. Alright, here we are. So, a couple of things that need to go before this starts cooking is you've got your 5 cups of berries in here, and you put your Sure-Gel in here, which here's the pack right here. I'm going to put that in there. And one thing they say, they don't have it on the list of ingredients because everybody uses it, but you do have to remember, and it helps, is 1/4 teaspoon of butter. It helps to reduce your foaming. You don't have to do that. It says if desired. I've always used it. 1/4 teaspoon right there, and there you are. That's all that goes into this for now. The other ingredient, actually it's all that goes into jam except the sugar. The other ingredient is just the sugar. So now we're waiting for the stove to heat up. And when it does, you can hear it sizzling already. When it does, what we're looking for is, while this is heating up, it goes to till it has to come to a full, what they call a full rolling boil. And that's a boil that does not bubble. Like stirring right now, that's a boil that if I'm stirring it, it does not stop. It doesn't stop if you're doing this. Like if it started bubbling right now and I did this and it stopped, you're not at a full rolling boil. So there you go. It's going to take a few minutes. It doesn't take that long though. It gets hot pretty darn fast. As you can see, the pectin's already worked its way in, and so the butter's starting to melt. So I love making jam. I make strawberry, blueberry, I've made apple, oops, it's almost boiling. I want you to see. See, it's boiling here. But what we have to make sure is that when it boils, if it's still boiling, when I stir, it's not a full rolling boil. See, and it's not. See how it stopped boiling when I stirred it? So it's not a full rolling boil yet. When we get to that full rolling boil, we're going to add our syrup in. There you go. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? Look at that beautiful color. Look at all those wonderful pieces. I love those pieces. I do not like to have mine empty and void of all those pieces. I love it. It's such a better flavor. And the kids love it that way too. I make raspberry. I make triple berry, which is, I think that's strawberry, raspberry, and blackberry, but I've done it strawberry, raspberry. No, I haven't put blueberry in it. I have done it with the blackberry, so I've done it straight by what they say. Different wonderful recipes. Oh, there's nothing like this in the middle of winter. I have not bought a jar of jam, and I can't tell you how many years. And you can say to yourself, well, that's a lot of sugar, though. What are you saving? The thing you know is what the ingredients are. You don't know what's in a jar of jam that you're buying at the store with all the preservatives and everything in it. You have no idea, but when you're making your jam yourself, you know exactly what's in it. Now, there are some pectins that are less sugar and stuff like that. So just if you are a diabetic or you don't like all that sugar, buy the other pectin, and the directions for getting it ready will be the same, but it'll give you a less sugar amount. But it also will, I think, I've never made the less sugar, but I'm sure that the ingredients themselves will change because you can't have this many berries without that much sugar. So I'm not sure how they do it, or whether they sweeten it up in the pectin itself. I'm not sure. I don't know how they do it because I've never made it. But there is one pectin that has less sugar. We're almost at the full rolling boil. As you can see, it's boiling like crazy, but when I stir it, it stops. Almost. Oh God, that looks so beautiful. So what I'm hoping to do, and I've never made it yet, and I'd love to do it live with you guys when I try, I want to make strawberry rhubarb jam. And I've never done it yet, and I can't wait. So Mrs. Marshy next door said that I could come and get rhubarb from her if I wanted to try that, and I darn well do want to try that. Okay, so as you can see, I'm stirring it now. And as I'm stirring it, it's not stopping it from boiling. Well, a little bit it is. Watch out, by the way, always step aside a little bit because this gets pretty wild and this burns. I have made this with little children, but this part where I'm on the stove, like they help me crush the berries, they help me add them to the pot and count and all the things that would be helpful to them. There it is, full rolling boil. It's still boiling and I'm doing my thing. So I'm adding my 7 cups of sugar. And what happens now is you have to wait until it gets to the full rolling boil again. Then you have to boil for exactly 1 minute. No less, no more. Exactly a minute. Look at the color change. Did you notice the color change right away, everybody? Isn't that funny when you add that sugar to it, how it lightens up? It was super, super uber dark a minute ago. Whew. I wonder if you're steaming up. Can you see everything there? I'm hoping you can. So it's just going to boil. Once it gets that full rolling boil, You're going to boil it for exactly 1 minute. So as I was saying, I've done it with children, and what I've done is they get to do the early ingredients. They do not come anywhere near the stove because it boils and it sends hot stuff all over, and I don't want them to get burned. And then they get to help again when they start filling the jars. And I get them a tall, long ladle that they can fill the jars. And I push this back on the table, and they have to reach over more so they're not really close to this hot liquid. And they fill the jars, and they help me cover them up. So it's a way that they can be a part of it, and it's a way to do it with them being safe. The kids love to do this because my daycare kids do not like bought jam. They've always eaten my homemade, and I bought jam once when I ran out, and I don't even know what I did with the jar because it did not end up getting eaten, so I don't even remember what I did. Maybe used it on a cake or something. Here's the other cool thing. I remember we were talking about making cakes and how somebody's like, oh, they wanted a strawberry cake and they couldn't find a strawberry cake, store-bought box cake. And Lisa Maynard, when I had the daycare, her grandson Gavin was here, and we were making a strawberry cake for Alex's birthday, and she said, oh, I don't make box cakes, but a lot of people do, but I was making a vanilla cake, but I was looking for a recipe and I didn't have any strawberries. It was November, and so everything had gone by and I didn't have any in the freezer. And she said, just open a jar of strawberry jam and put it in your batter. Oh my God, best strawberry cake I've ever had in my life. We had a white cake, homemade white cake recipe that I put my homemade strawberry jam in with. My goodness, that was good. My goodness. See how we're doing here? Are you sick and tired of looking at the thing just being stirred? Sorry about that. I'm worried that I won't be able to get it down fast enough get the camera back down to it fast enough after when it starts boiling in the full boil, so I'm keeping it there because that's what happened before. I pulled it up to say something to you and ta-da, I couldn't see it anymore. So the whole time our over here, I'll bring you over here. We're now melted over here with the wax. It's now all melted. It looks like water. You can barely see it. That's our double boiler full of wax. So we're getting that ready because everything happens so fast from here on out once it gets going. But you don't have time. So, yeah. So I'd like to know what your favorite jams are. And are you jam makers? What you do. What kinds do you make? Like I say, I've done blueberry and apple, grape. I've picked grapes up the road and processed them, which is a very long process. So you have to take the seeds and all that out. But and the skin ends up coming out by using cloths, cheesecloth, and so apple. Oh, what is it that Danielle makes? Can't think of the name of it all of a sudden. But I am very much a seasonal, whatever is like raspberries. I can't wait for raspberries to come so I can make a whole, because raspberry jam is, I don't like jelly. Raspberry jam is my favorite. Strawberry is Rosie's favorite. Alex, I think he's for strawberry, but I don't know if he actually has a favorite. Now see how it's boiling despite the fact that I am stirring it? That's a rolling boil. So now I turn on the timer for 1 minute and let her roll. And I'm supposed to be stirring it the whole time that it's boiling. Doesn't want it to be singed or burned or anything. See how it's, no matter how much I stir it, it's boiling? There you go. That's a rolling boil, a bona fide rolling boil. And this is going to take exactly a minute, which the timer's on. I'm not sure how I'm going to get you both over there, the camera or the jam first. You'll have to be patient on that one. Got 30 seconds left. And then from here, we just go over and fill the jars, which is a little long process. But they take long because I like to wash them down and make sure that they step back though, because right now, as you can see, it's boiling all over the place. Yep, and you don't want to get hit with it because it is hot. I just got hit twice and I'm standing back pretty far. It's going to get a little messy, but that's okay. 4, 3, 2, 1, and there we go. So now we just get it off the stove. Take it over here. Hold on, I'll be back for you. I'll be back for the camera coming up. Here we go. There. Good morning, how I can pan back so you can see what I'm doing now. Maybe a little bit like this and this, because I need you to see a bigger process than just looking in the bowl now. I'm going to sit down in the chair so I can see what you're seeing. As you can see, I've got it on the stove, but I also have it on so it doesn't burn anything. Okay, from here, if there's, and you can see, look, no foam, because I used the butter. Really, that's really cool. So from here, I just start like this. I take my jar, be careful with your fingers, and just fill it. We're gonna wash the edges that have anything on them. I just burned my finger there. A little too much over to the side. Whew. I think I'm gonna pour this one back in because you can see when I started I put all the stuff that's floating in the top is mostly all the bits and pieces, and I don't want them all in one jar. So make sure you go down the bottom and pull yourself up so you get bits and pieces in each one and the jam. To see how it looks different now when I put this jar, you can see how it was thick with stuff, but it had so much of just from the top in there. So I go up just to that little lip right there. See this one right here? That's as far as I go. I'll fill up one more with you, but then I'll show you what the next process is before I won't have you watch while I'm filling every one of these by any means. I do not want you to be bored, but I do have to do it quickly because it sets pretty quickly. See how I'm going down to the bottom and pulling it all up so there's bits and pieces in here too. But there we go. So the next piece of the process, I'm gonna transfer this over here just a little bit for now because I need to show you what happens next. I'm gonna put these two jars right back here. Oh, that was my knife, no big deal. So two things to do. One is, I always keep a washcloth or a towel or something, and it's always very clean because you're going to keep, I like to do paper towels actually because they have the cleanest. Go around your lip right here. See your lip and see what I'm cleaning out here? Go around and clean them so that they will seal properly. So go inside and outside until you can see that whole thing is clean. I tend to go like this. Can you see what my fingers, the motions of my hand? And see how clean everything is now around that? This one's pretty dirty, plus I also did this jar where I filled it twice, so there's a little wet and sticky on the outside, so I'm also going to wash the outside of this jar because of the fact that I had done it. I had filled it and then changed my mind because it was filled with too much of the bits and pieces because I'd taken them all from the top. I'm going to clean the side of this jar, and again the inside of this jar like this. There. Just two quick things left to do. See how perfectly clean the both of those are? Once you get that part done, I'm going to go get my wax that is over here, popping and snapping with the water. And I'm going to fill my jar up. This is wax. It looks like water, but I assure you it's wax. And I'm just going to fill the jar up to that next rim. See this last one right here? I'm going to take it right up to where that last turn is on the turn. And then once that's done, I go, you can see that it's wax. You can already see it building up right there. How funny is that? And I just put my top right on. A lot of people say, hey, I don't use wax, and if I'm making hot jam, that thing's gonna seal itself from the hot jam. Yep, I don't care. Wax is so cheap. To be sure that you don't end up with 10 jars or 50 jars or 20 jars of jam that did not settle and did not seal themselves, I always put the wax on top before I close the jar. And that's just the way I do it. And that's as easy as it is. I have like 7 or 8 more jars to fill and cover in the whole 9 yards. But that is as easy as it is. I hope you have fun with it. If you want to make another kind, I can do that live, but basically we're just doing the exact process I just showed you. The only difference would be in the way that you process your individual fruit. Grapes are processed a little bit different Then raspberries and strawberries are the same. Triple berry is a blast. You're putting all three of those berries together. Just try it. If you're going to be brave enough to try like strawberry or raspberry, go to the bottom of the list on the cooked jams and try that triple berry. It's only going to take like a couple of cups of blackberries and then raspberries and strawberries, and it's like such a flavor. You're going to want to use it on everything. So if anybody has a recipe for the hot jelly that you like to put over cream cheese and use in cooking, and you want to see it done live here, send it to me. I'll practice it once. Actually, I don't even need to practice it. What I like to do, I do love, as you guys all know, doing first time things live, so I would be happy just to do it first time live as well. Otherwise, if you don't mind cooking and doing a video, please by all means cook it. Put the video up on Facebook, and then please tag me because I want to see it. I want to know about it, and then I'll send it to my friends too. I love it. Jam season. It's fantastic. Jamming and jellying. I love jams more, but jamming and jellying is both fun. So have fun with it. If you have a particular fruit that you want to put in jam and you don't find the directions, or you find prepping it is complicated and you can't understand, or you want to do it with somebody, send me a note and say, I want to see, you know, grape jelly made, please, because the prep is a little more difficult. I'll do it. Just let me know. Thanks, guys. Bye.